Well, good morning. We are back for, we'll call this part two of the past, the present, and the future. But we thought we would kind of do our version of what we think the future of AI might be. And just to kind of give you, like last week, if you missed last week, you should go back and watch the live replay either on my YouTube account or Mina's YouTube account, because we typically go live every Sunday morning, the morning show with the twins. Again, like I said last week, I feel like we might need a really real official name. So we talked about some of the history of artificial intelligence, what our ideas of artificial intelligence is, or was, or still is, and then kind of some of the thing, the current version of AI or what we are seeing, and then what the future might hold. So, Mina, can you talk about what you were saying about in the education space around other countries and how they're already teaching the next generation, the next generation to use AI, because maybe that'll be a good um, leap into the future?
Okay. What I think what you're talking about is I talked a little bit about one country specifically, Singapore. Singapore is ahead of everybody mathematically, language, science, literacy, writing, you name it. They're ahead of everybody, and they know that there is fear in AI. But what they've done is they said, well, let's just push the envelope and see what will happen. And what they did is they put ChatGPT, OpenAI, a platform, or any generative artificial intelligence, something that can recreate and help you be creative in front of preschoolers, like 2 and 3 year olds. Because typically 2 and 3 year olds can talk to you about something and they can ask you questions. You know, when your kids were little and be like, why? 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 Wouldn't it have been great if you had something that could answer why or if or how? Well, that's what these kids are doing. And you can YouTube Singapore preschoolers using ChatGPT. And there's like this 5-10 minute video that you watch children asking ChatGPT questions. What if? How do I? Is this real? And it's talking to them. Of course, there's an educator and a guide in the classroom because you don't want to just put something in front of kids and whatever the output is, it might hallucinate. Like, you know this when you're in a room and you have young children and they just go off on a tangent, or even adults for that matter. They like squirrel and start talking about a new topic, right?
Right.
So teachers are guides. We are not the bearer of all knowledge. Nobody is. But what we can do is use it as a tool to help us into the future of learning. And we know that the next generation, everybody that is born today, everybody that was born in November of 2022 and later, because remember, we used to say this about Google and the World Wide Web, will not know a world without generative AI or Chat GPT or Gemini or Perplexity or Copilot or Claude, you name it. Whatever it is, I
Siri, Alexa, all of
right.
it.
All of it, all of the things that we think it's just, oh, this is great. They're going to, they now are going to be able to use tools to recreate and learn faster than we can.
Because we've always known a world with a telephone, not a smartphone, but a telephone.
The thing with the cord that you get all like you have to
Right.
untangle.
We know what it's like to actually ride a bike and pedal, where now we see kids going to school with electric bikes.
Oh my gosh, these
That's
and
a whole nother concept.
and and we remember a world where you had to share the phone, where I remember you and we didn't have that, what you called call waiting. Like, we had to, it's my turn to use the phone, or and
Get off the phone. I'm expecting a phone call.
right,
Get your
or and then we had the privilege of turning 13 and our mother gave us our own phone. Like, we were special. We had our own private phone in our bedroom. She was tired of not and being able to use the phone. I guess it wasn't a gift. I think now that I realize it, it was almost a, let me use my own phone. So now what? Like, what aspects of AI, and what I mean by AI right now is the stuff that can help us create, get better, edit, produce content, create content with you, find content, find research, whatever it is, can help us enhance what we do in business, in education, in whatever we do.
You know, keep going, get your thought out.
No, I no, you're right. You can actually jump in. This is a perfect segue if you know what it is that you want to say, because economic growth and productivity is going to change everything.
So
Because
like what I was thinking of was because we were having this conversation with one of our kids about people striking, going on strike.
mm,
And you called it BCAC, before COVID, after COVID. I almost, when before COVID, we did things a certain way. Even in real estate, I'm an instructor, and we taught all of the multiple listing classes in person. We teach them online on WebEx? Yes, but it was really one of us that always got the online, and that's because she was in another state. She used to be an agent in Illinois, but she moved outside of the state, so they gave her all of the webinars.
mm.
COVID happened, all of us had to teach via Zoom or WebEx or whatever platform the company
Or
wanted
have
to.
a family event.
Right. So what I'm saying is COVID made us rethink the unimaginable, because no one would have ever thought that we would have even been doing our conferences virtually. But we figured it out because people still wanted to figure out how to get together, even though they weren't physical touching. Now, do I think we still need physical touch? I'm going to go with without the data as a fact, but we could go research the data later. Do I think we need that? Yes. But when I go back to the conversation around people that go on strike because they want to raise, or people that go on strike because they need better working conditions, do I think we need to make a point? Absolutely. But what happens when a people go on strike? And I'm not advocating for or not. I'm saying what it does to a company, because remember, there's always someone that owns a company, that's an innovator. They're usually the CEO or the people at the top need to be forward thinkers. So the imaginable or the future of a company where you have something that changes right now and they can't get the work done, what they used to do is the high level staff that wasn't in the union would have to go out and work, right? Right. Now you have companies that have taken over. No one would have ever thought that the Amazon that sold just books would be same day service on whatever you need if it's available. Like no one would have ever predicted that you would have automation with some of these things. And so when we think about the future of AI, I think this is, if people really sit down and brainstorm the imaginable, it's going to change the way we think, and it's going to make you say, if I do this, what's the outcome of it? Because if I do this, my company might already be thinking about ways to replace me, like you said. And I don't know where I saw it. I should write this down for research later, for maybe another talk. The Elon Musk story, where his company, he asked the people that work for him, I need this done. And they said, well, we can't get that done for 5 or 6 months. And he was like, turn the plane around. And then they fixed it in like 24 or 48 hours because they were tasked with doing it. So when I think about the future of AI, I think about, we've already, in real estate, in education, you've already had predictive analytics. But what if, and I'm sure it's not even a what if, it's the if, because I'm sure some of us are already using this, that we're using predictive analytics and AI to help me predict the best house to market to based on data, but not just the best house to market to, but giving me a whole concept and a strategy that whatever I do, that homeowner is going to always pick me because I've used AI in the strategy.
Okay. I want to take a step back in time just for a moment. Blockbuster, Kodak, Nokia, or whatever that one company was, Nokia. They didn't want to go
Mm-hmm.
into the smartphone business, so they lost a huge part of the market share. Blockbuster was like, we're good. We like having these tangible tapes where if you forget it, you get a fine. We make a whole bunch of money. And if you can find your Blockbuster card, I had it for a while. I'm
I
sure.
got rid of all that.
But my point is that they didn't want to do what Netflix did for them, and they took all of that business, all of it. And then Kodak didn't want to go to digital form.
And there was a gentleman that worked for them that gave them the idea. And then he
Right. We
ended
were
up
talking about
leaving,
that.
giving it to someone else. Because no, we need to be able to look at the film right. It's
So, and
even,
then,
and
no,
just
keep
to
going.
tie into that, it's even real estate agents. Because I've been teaching one course lately 2 to 5 times a month because our industry had a huge change. And I don't even want to say that it's a change, it's just a forced change. And there are real estate agents that are really frustrated. And my question is to them is, what if you don't always be, if you don't become the forward thinker and the futurist, that eventually you could be at the point where you could retire, but eventually the next generation is going to take over, which they are already doing.
Well, and I don't really want to step back now. I want to go present. News stations are live on TikTok. News stations are live on YouTube. They're not just, the 3 channels, the 4 channels that we remember back in the day. For me, those channels were very specific in Illinois, like 257. They're different here in California. We have not just media outlets doing this. I distinctively remember every day. I should correct myself. The same time that you go live on Fridays, there is a company that models their clothing to share it. It's Chico's, like, and they get maybe 50, 60 people every Friday. I think they're ending before you. It's like 5 minutes into yours and then they're gone. My point is that if you don't shift because you of a fear factor, you're going to be stuck. And we already know that it's the innovators and the early adopters that if they take hold of generative AI, they're going to be the ones that recreate jobs, because a lot of jobs are going to become obsolete. I would almost argue that in 2040, I'm very curious as to what education is going to look like, because we already know we can do this because of COVID. We already know that the schools that did well during COVID, that embraced in March, April of 2020, Zoom, Teams, whatever, and started teaching students like this right away, the ones that had access to whatever operating system, whether it was Chrome or Intel or Mac, whatever they had, kids already had it at home. Those are the ones that were like, we got this. But you got left behind because you couldn't even buy them because they couldn't make them fast enough during COVID. Like, this is the DC during COVID, because after
Hey,
COVID
BCDC, BCDC,
and
AC. Sounds
mhm,
like ACDC.
right. The point is that we have to shift and be okay with the fear, sit in the fear. Like, nobody, we all have fear, but it's what you do with the fear that will make change. You can either sit in it and become paralyzed, or you can choose to move forward with the understanding that the younger the person is that starts to use ChatGPT, and the person that guides them through it, are the ones that are going to be very innovative as they get older. And there are companies that are now hiring people with positions on training their companies on how to use ChatGPT.
Even like not just how to use
Engineers.
it and how to click, but how to think and how to prompt. And they have names for prompters now. And because many of us have been using it now for 2 years straight, and some of us every single day. Now I can't say in the beginning I was using it every single day, but now it's a part of my daily checklist. Log into Chat GPT, because you just figured out something last week that, with video, even that now, what did you say? We Googled it, now you Chat GPT'd it.
You don't just, I guess I'll Google it. No, I guess I'll GPT it, or I guess I'll chat it. The reason why I don't just say chat, because that could be ambiguous. It could be perplexity, or it's all GPTs, but chat GPT has coined, OpenAI has coined that. So it's GPT. So the idea of what happens what happens in chat GPT will surprise you every week. Like, because last week when we were on and I put in some information about Ford Fusion and asked it some questions, it answered about the AI in your car on cruise control, I think it was. And then it gave me a video. And it wasn't just the link to the video, it showed me the video. Like when you go to Google and you Google it and it gives you a list of ideas and you're like, maybe you want to click on that video and that video, it showed it to me, which was like, oh, I didn't even know it could do that. Every day that I go in, I'm surprised with where it is. And I think that even if even if you do it 2 to 3 days a week, you're going to be in the place you need to be to get better. Practice does not make perfect. It makes better, it makes proficient, it makes creativity. Like,
And over time,
doctors
you
are
become, go ahead.
proficient.
Right. And what about doctors?
Doctors are always practicing. They're not perfect. Doctors practice medicine.
And that's why they have a checklist, which is a different conversation for another day. But they, and oh, the future of AI is already here. And we haven't even, scratched the surface of the imaginable. But when a friend of mine's, her husband recently had surgery, and there was a robot in the room with the surgeon for the whole 10 hours.
Yeah, because the surgeon gets tired, but the robot doesn't. The bot doesn't get tired, and that is why they do it. And there is AI that will scan the human body inside and out, three-dimensional, and the surgeon can practice the surgery 4 or 5 times before they actually go into the body. They can practice, and it'll tell you what could happen and give you future. If you go there, this could happen, but you try it anyway. The human factor is still always better because your brain is going to always be better. It is the perfect computer. But I should say, and every GPT that is created, the language models are created by humans. So we want the little itty bitty humans to get good at it so that they can become the programmers, so that we have equitable voice in what's in there, because it's very opinionated too. And it might give you an opinion that is only based on one thing. And the programming language that happens, there are a group of people that have programming language, and you can go grab what they call queries, grab that whole query and then edit it and improve it. The problem with that is that you may not realize there's a tweak that you need to change because it was somebody else's opinion. That is why we need to get younger people into understanding these large language models. Yeah. Anyway,
And the key is we need young people, but not just young people that have the ability or the fluency. We need every demographic group, every diverse group, from the high incomes to the low incomes, because you proved to us last week that any generation that has anyone that has access to a phone or a computer can just have a conversation with ChatGPT to learn. And we're not saying that it should be a replacement for learning. We're saying it should be in addition to, because again,
enhancement, right?
every week I write what I'm going to talk about on social media, but but from that I can take what I've written out, and I can ask ChatGPT to confirm find sources based on the information I've provided, or I can ask ChatGPT to edit for grammar. Is there something I didn't think of? Is there something I could do better or differently? So it doesn't mean that we shouldn't teach our kids how to understand and read data. It doesn't mean we shouldn't teach them how to do math the hard way, the long way, whatever the creative way is, multiplication on your fingers. That's not what we're saying. But I'm the person that could have leveraged AI in high school, and I would have been a better student, because I'm not. I started to think something wasn't right, but it's just because my brain was all over the place. I had all these thoughts, but it wasn't until college when I learned that I needed a pen and a few highlighters over there, so I could reorganize my thoughts. Where ChatGPT, if I write it, if I get it all out, ChatGPT can help me organize it
And if
faster.
you're faster than and better,
Maybe.
there are some ethical concerns. I mean, you don't want to be putting private information in there, your social security number and all those things. You don't want to put private student information in there, or any, if you are in a business, you don't want to put client personal information in there. So you have to be very careful and consider those things. You have to, again, I would even say you have to consider who it is that's training, and do they have some type of background and understanding, even what the World Forum is saying about it. Like, are we thinking about the future of AI and the impact of AI and what we're going to do differently with using it? Because I see, typically we see the future in 10 years. Like, we don't even define the future as tomorrow. We typically, if somebody says the future, people will think, well, in 5 years, or on, what did you say? I think last week you said something about January 1st. What's that? New Year's resolutions. Like, we think of things in years or decades, and the future is now. And we can define it as the present, but what is going to happen in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years with the use of artificial intelligence? And it has shaped the education arena, the system itself, because there are teachers that are like, I can't even keep up. So I'm out. Like, they're retiring. It's not even just because of after COVID. It's also because the amount of learning that is taking place, sometimes it's just a lot, and we almost have to let the people that want to take on all this knowledge take a step back. I would say go slow to go fast, but to take some time to learn it. There are things, that checklist that you talked about, the GPTs of the world, we have to be doing that daily so that we
So
can.
you just said that people are getting out of the industry because the learning is happening so fast. And what I heard from that is that this is why you must be in a constant state of learning. So in my what I think of is the real estate agent that refuses to change. Do I still think you can make phone calls? Do I still think you need direct mail? Do I still think you need social media? Do I still think you need digital, email marketing, ad placement? Yes. But it is the agents that refuse. I'm not using that. It's like the agents that refuse to use Facebook when it first launched, or the agents that refuse to go to an e-signature tool. I'm not doing that. Or the agent that refused to put their documents in the cloud. Oh, I'm not doing that. And then what happens is now you're forced, because a company has totally shifted from paper to a cloud storage. And that's the simple version. It is, we get so overwhelmed and stuck because we didn't keep up with the learning. So it doesn't even have to be hard, because the people that keep up with the learning are the people that it'll, even though it might be a little bit of work, it's not as hard of work. And then we all know that when you're under the age of 5, you can, man, that's best time to learn another language, best time to learn tech. It's just easier for them. And why we can see even my grandson, they just pick up the phone and know what to do.
Yeah, they just do it. And it's whatever the new tech, whatever it is, we have to just be okay with the fear, be okay with becoming comfortable with the uncomfortable, and learning through the discomfort. That can be very difficult to do for many people. And I think that the future of AI, I'm not going to say that it seems to be here, it is here. And the impact of what's going to happen from education to business, from birth to business, where's the in between? How do we make sure that everybody has access to it so that they can improve what they're doing over time? And knowing that you can either create your obsolescence, or you are creating someone else's obsolescence, or becoming obsolete, don't have a job anymore because of the new technology. And that is where we are. And even our higher education systems, they're like, yeah, but they're so worried about what the bad is, trying to control the uncontrollable. You can't control cheating, but you can control how you teach people how to learn with it. but we are so apt to say, I'm not going to do it because kids could cheat.
Well, look out,
Well,
because I'm
I'm
here to
not going to
tell
learn how
you.
to drive because I could get hurt. Well, then there, I guess you're not going anywhere. I guess you're going to call Uber all the time, which is fine. But you know what the impact will be is that you're either going to be made to or you're going to become paralyzed in the future.
So let's do this before we end. What are some things well, what do you think about the future of AI? I'll make it. So this is what I think, because, I've been using ChatGPT to help me with things. And so every day I would come into ChatGPT and I would say, okay, let's end where we began. And I would always start with good morning. I hope you're doing well today, even though it's a GPT. I was like, I'm going to be nice because I didn't want it to show up outside like a robot and be like,
The fear is real.
remember me? I was like, as crazy as it sounds, is if you've never watched I Robot Goals, like go watch that, or um um Atlas. Like you go watch some of these movies, or what's the one, Ready Player One? I think Ready Player Two is supposed to come out in 2025. I just think it's almost like that book Career Warfare. We got to think about who, of course, we don't want Chat GPT or the GPTs to be our bosses, but the scary part of the what if, that's what I was thinking. I didn't want it to show up and be like, what's up? Remember me?
Okay. Do you remember the show Person of Interest?
Do I?
Okay. In Person of Interest, they kept saying the machine. And it aired from like 2011 to 2016. And I was so intrigued. I was disappointed when it ended because it basically feels like Chat GPT in 2011, like it was coming. And I was like, it can surveillance you, it can figure you out, the coded bias of facial recognition, human recognition. And they were trying to figure out how to help people not get harmed based on what data was happening. And it was a profound show that I think ended too soon, because today if you ever get a chance to even watch the first year series 1 or whatever it is, I just
What was it called again?
it's called Person of Interest.
Oh, I think I
And it
remember this.
because I had to look it up, an advanced surveillance AI developed to predict and prevent violent crimes.
Yeah, I
But
remember. And he would walk around the city.
yeah, he would walk around the city and it was always noticing, and then it would call them on a payphone because you didn't have the cell phone that you thought you wanted yet. And I was like, it dawned on me about 2 or 3 months ago, this is where we are. We have a smart system that is going to take us into the future, and what are we going to do with it so that it can make a better world? And what is the energy impact of what that is, and how can we get better at using it? Because that's where we are, in my opinion. And how are we going to get better at educating those that don't want to? And if you don't want to, fine, you don't have to have a digital footprint, even though somebody's going to create it for you, digital
It's
shop.
already created. I mean, I think it's already created, because remember the movie Enemy of the State?
Yeah.
I feel like everyone has one. And that's where I get the people that are like, nope, not going on social media. Nope, 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 nope. But the digital footprint happened when you have a bank account. If it can be hacked, there's some type of digital footprint, unless you are stuffing money in your mattress. So,
Which one day won't even be valuable anymore because it's money that no one will care about. Because I do
and we
believe,
haven't even we're not. In no way am I an expert on Bitcoin, but we haven't even scratched the surface of how that's going to tie into AI.
any digital currency. Yeah, you're right. So that's where we are today, and the future of AI. And you
Let's
know,
let me see if I can come up with, because I always, when we talk about the future of AI, maybe we ought to challenge people on how to go back and think. But when I think of the future of AI, maybe it's, what is that one thing or two things you've always wanted to do but you didn't think you could? Is it learning another language. You might still need the human factor, but it could be the future of AI makes it easier for you to actually have a live conversation. But maybe the future of AI is when I say, good morning, how are you? That automatically in someone else automatically hears, buenos dias, ¿cómo estás? Like it could just happen that way. I mean, like that could be a future, or it could be that I want to become a developer. And in order to become a developer, I have to know how to do this, and this. And it's something that I could learn faster. And maybe it's like the movie Atlas, where you get connected to a robot.
We call that Neuralink, and that freaks people out, and it is there. It is
That's
available.
yeah. So what do you think? What would you I'll start with this. I challenge everyone to sit down, whether it's the future of AI or the future of your real estate business or the future of whatever business you're in or the future of your job. Write down what are the what do you think the future would look like for your business or whatever you're doing, and then what are the crazy things that could happen and the bad things that could happen, and think it through. What do you think? Maybe
Uh,
from education.
that is a good question. I would say I would challenge anybody to use it and figure out what is the one thing that it can help you become more efficient. Like what's one task that takes you forever to do? Maybe it's editing something. Maybe it's an email, like you ponder over emails because you don't want it to come across some certain way. You write the email and you throw it into ChatGPT and say, make this where it doesn't sound like I'm upset, or make it sound friendly, because sometimes emails don't have emotions, but you want it to come across in a voice where it is positive. It could be that. And then one other thing I would challenge people to do is to read maybe once or twice a month the latest in AI. What
There
is
you
that?
have it.
That's what I would do. Those two things.
And I'm Carrie Little, the designated managing broker of Caremark Realty Group in Illinois and in Florida. If you want to continue to learn from me, you can follow me on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook. I am Carrie, Carrie, Joe Little, everywhere. And go to the links in my bio. You can also, from this video, you could easily sign up for one of my free on-demand master classes. The most recent is It's the Final Countdown.
And I'm Dr. Mina Joe Blazy. You can find me on all the platforms as Mina J. Blazy, except for YouTube, MJ Blazy. And on December 7th at 9 a.m. Central Time, I'm doing a webinar on allowing ChatGPT to be your AI buddy. So I will see you then.